Hey guys, welcome to a new Python tutorial. Today I want to show you how you can get started with Flask. We will write a simple to-do app to manage tasks. So you will learn how to install and use Flask, how to handle different routes, how to use a database, and also a little bit how we can style our app at the end. So if you don't know Flask, Flask is one of the most popular web frameworks in Python. And what's nice about Flask is that it's a lightweight framework, so it allows us to get started quick and easy. So you will see in a minute how easy it is to set up our first app. But with Flask, it's also possible to write very complex web apps. So yeah, it's really great. And now, before we get started, let me show you the final app first. So the final app looks like this. Here we have our to-do app, and here we have our list of to-do items. So I already added one. Then up here, we can add another to-do item. So for example, simply say to-do 2 and then click on add. And this will add the item to the list. And then we see a status not complete. And then we can click on update, and this will change it to completed. Then if we click update again, it will change back to not complete. And of course, we can delete items again. So yeah, so that's the app we're going to implement. And now let's get started. So let me stop this app here first. So now let's create a new empty directory. So let's call this Flask to do, and then let's go into this directory Flask to do, and then let's open my editor. So I'm using Visual Studio Code, and here we can use the integrated terminal. And now we go to the official website, so the official Flask website, and follow the installation guide. So it's not too complicated. The first thing we want to do is to create a virtual environment. So it's always recommended to use this. And so I'm grabbing this command. And if you're on Windows, it's slightly different. So you have to use this syntax. Then let's paste this and create our environment. So this will take a few seconds, and now it's done. So now if we go back, the next thing we want to do is we want to activate our environment. So I'm using this command. Again, if you're on Windows, then you have to use this command. So paste the activate command in here. So now our environment is activated, and we can see this because we see the name of our environment in the beginning. And now we want to install Flask. So we say pip install Flask. And this will take a few seconds. So now it's installed. So now we can start using it. So now let's create a new file. So let's call this app.py. And here we say from Flask import Flask, and then we create an app equals Flask, and this has to get underscore name. So this is just a convention. And now what we want to do is we also want to define the index page first. So define index. And here for this example, we simply return a string hello world. And now for each page or each route, we have to decorate this by saying app.route. And then here we specify the URL. So for this, it's just a /. So this is our index page. So now this is all the code we need to have a first app. So now let me show you how we can run this app. So there are two ways. The first thing, for this we have to set some environment variables. So we have to say export, and then we say Flask app, Flask underscore app equals, and then our file name app.py. And I also want to set the Flask environment by saying Flask env equals development. So this makes it easier during implementation, because then we don't have to restart our server each time we modify the files. So we also set this environment, and then we can say Flask run. And then it says serving our Flask app. It's running here at localhost port 5000. So if we go to this URL, then we see it shows hello world. So this is what we specified for the index page. And now we have our first app up and running. So this is the first way to start it. So now if I hit Control and C, then it will stop the server again. So the second way to do it is to say if name equals double underscore main. Oh, sorry, this was autocomplete. Then we simply say app.run and we set debug equals true. So we are in development mode. And then in our environment, we start our script like we start every Python script by saying python app.py. And this will do the same thing. So now again, if we go to this URL, to our localhost, then we have our app here up and running. So yeah, so now if we want to add different sites, so for each site or URL, we have to add a new function. So let's, for example, show an about page. So we define our method about, and here we return about, and then we specify the route is at /about. Now if we hit save, then it's restarting our server. And now if we go to the index page, we see the same thing. And now we can also go to /about, and then we get the about string. So this is how we define different URLs for our web app. And now, of course, we don't simply want to return a string here. So the common way to do this is to render a template here. So we say from Flask import render template. And then let me remove this one. Then we want to return this template. So we say return render template, then the name of our file. So we call this base.html. And of course we have to create this. So in our top folder, we create a new directory and call this templates. So this has to be this name because Flask is looking for the templates directory. Then inside this directory, we create our file base.html. And here we can write some HTML code, so some boilerplate. And let's give this a title, TODO App. And then let's simply, for now, add an h1 tag and say also TODO App. And now if we reload this, so I'm saving the file, then this should reload. So now if we go back to our index page and hit enter, then we see that it's rendering this template. So it's showing our h1 tag. So this is working. And now we can, for example, continue to implement our HTML. So for example, if we have a look at the final app, up here we want to have a form to enter a new to-do item. So let's do this. So in our base HTML, let's add a form. And for now, I will leave the action blank. So I will explain this in a second. So our form, first let's add a div tag. Then our form should have a label for, let's call this title. And then the label says to do title. Then we want to have a input. And this is of type text. Then it also should get a name equals title, and it also has to or should have a placeholder, enter to do, ... And we also want to have a button here, and the button says add, and this should has type equals submit. So sorry, and quotes submit. So when we click on the button, then it should submit the form. So now if we save this and reload our app again, then we see we have our form here. So let me add a quick change. So let's add a new line before our button. So let's add a BR tag, and then again, if we reload the page, then it should show the new HTML. So this is working. And now, of course, right now this button isn't doing anything. So now the next thing we want to do is to add our database. And for this, I want to stop the server again. So for this, we have to install another module, and this is called Flask SQLAlchemy. So we say pip install flask -SQLAlchemy. So I'm just checking if I didn't have a typo. So yeah, should be fine. And hit enter. So this module makes it easy for us to work with SQL databases. So now it's installed. So now we can import this. So we say from Flask SQLAlchemy, we import SQLAlchemy, and then we create our app. And now what we want to do, or what we have to do, is to set a config variable by saying app.config, and this is a dictionary, so this has to get a key, and the key is called SQLAlchemy, all in capital letters, _database _URI. So this is the name or the path to our database. And in this example, we are simply using a SQLite database for now. So the syntax is SQLite : and 3 forward slashes. This means that it's a relative path. So in this directory here, and then we can give it the name we want. So we call this db.sqlite. So now we have the path to the database. Then I also want to set a second config variable, and this is called SQLAlchemy _track modifications equals false. So don't worry about this. If we don't set this to false, then we will get a warning with the current Flask version, so that this will be removed in the future anyway. So I'm setting this. So now we create the actual database by saying db equals SQLAlchemy, and this gets the app. And now, of course, before we run our code again, we also have to create our database first. So for this, we say db.createAll. And now if we run our code again, then this should work if we did everything correctly. And then you will see that in our folder, this file db.sqlite should appear. So let's run this. And yeah, it worked. So here's our database. So now we can start working with this. So inside our database, we want to have one model. So we create a class for our to-do items by saying class, and let's call this to-do. And this has to inherit db.model. And here we want to specify all the entries for this model in our database. So our model has to have 3 things. One is an ID for our item. One is the title of the to-do item, so the task. And then it also has a Boolean value if it is completed or not. So let's do this. So we say ID equals db.column. So for each entry we create a column, and for the column we have to give it a data type. So in this case it's a db.integer, and for this we also set primary key equals true. This means we want to have a unique value for each to-do item that we want to create. And SQLAlchemy automatically manages these keys for us. So we have the ID, then we also want to add the title by saying db.column, and in this case this should be a string, and this should also get a length of 100, so the maximum possible characters that we can type in. And then we also give it a tag complete equals db.column, and this should be a Boolean, so db.boolean. So now this is the complete class we need. And for now, for a simple demonstration, let me create one here for you. So the next time, so let me stop this again, and the next time we run our app here, it should create one new item. So we say new to do equals, and then we create our to do item, and this gets the title equals. So for now let's simply say to do 1 and complete equals false. Then we say db.session. So for the current session we want to add our item, so we say add new to do, and we also have to commit this, so we say db.session.commit. So now this should be added to our database. So now in our index page here we want to show all to-dos. So we want to query the database. So we say our to-do list equals, and then we use todo.query.all. This will return a list of all the items. So for now we simply print this. So now let's run our app again. And now if we go to our home page again and reload this, and then go back to the terminal, then we see we have the list of to-dos. So I guess it's reloaded again. That's why we have 2 items here. But we see that it worked. So we added some items. So now let's delete this again, and so it's restarting. And then, for example, if we hit enter on this page again, we see we still have the items in our database. And now the next thing we want to do is we want to, of course, show these items. And we can do this by passing these items to our template. So we give this a parameter name and say to-do list equals our to-do list. And then inside our HTML, we can access these items. So this is called Jinja templating engine. So if we go back to the Flask side, here on the front page, we see Flask depends on the Jinja template engine. So I will show you how this looks in a second. So inside our HTML, we can now use the special syntax, and this is a little bit similar to Python code, but not exactly like Python. So what we can do here, for example, is we have to use curly braces and then %, and then we can do a for loop, like in Python. We can say for to do in to do list, and then we also have to end this. So somewhere we have to write end for, and now this will do a for loop, and then for each to-do item, we want to render it. So let's simply create a p tag. And here, if we want to access the single to-do item, we use double curly braces. And then we can, for example, say todo.id. So we can access all the variables. So let's use this. Let's use this as separator. And then, for example, we also want to show the todo.title. So now this should work. So if we go back to our app and reload this, then we see this is working. So the for loop is generating a p tag for each of the items, and we have two items right now in our list. So this is working. So now we also, if we have a look at the final app, so we want to add the complete tag, or complete or not complete, then the update button and the delete button. So for this, let's go back to the HTML code, and then inside here, what we want to do is, first we want to check if the to-do is completed. So for this we can, again, let's use curly braces and then %, and then we can use if syntax. So we say if to-do dot complete equals false. So again, this looks like Python code. If this is true, and then again, we somewhere have to define the end if, and we also can use, if we copy this again, we can use a else statement. And then, so if this is not completed, then let's use a span and say not complete. Then else, if it is completed, we say complete or completed. Then we have our end if. So now if we reload this, then this should show not completed for each of the items. So yeah, this is working. Not complete. Not complete, not completed. Doesn't matter. So this is working. So then let's add the update and delete button. So for this we are using a tag. So I will leave the href blank for now. So again, I will explain this in a second how this is working. So this is called update, and then here let's use another one by saying not add, delete. And for now you're simply, so this has to get the URL which our tag leads to. So for now, let's simply say this should go to our home page again. So now if we reload this, then this is working. We see our two update and delete buttons. And if we click on this, then this is reloading the index page. So this is working. And now what is left to do is to add the actual functionality. Whenever we click on the add button, the update button, or the delete button. So now for each of these operations, we want to add a route again. So let's define a function and call this add. And here for now, let's say pass, or let's write a comment, add new item. So here we are using, oh, I already deleted this. So let's write this again. So let's say new to do equals to do, and then it will get the title. So title equals. So first we have to get the title, and we get the title from the form. And so we get this, if we have a look, we get this from this input field with the name title. So let's say title equals request.form.get, and then the name of this form is title. So we also have to import request from Flask. And now it stopped my server because it detected the syntax error here, so it doesn't matter for now. So now we get the title. So we put this into our to-do item, and we say complete equals false in the beginning. Then we add this to our database. So we say db.session.add our new to-do. Then we have to commit this by saying db.session.commit. And then after we added the new item, we want to refresh our index page. So for this, we also import two more things. So the one is called redirect, and the other one is called URL4. And then we want to return the redirect, return redirect, and then here URL4, and then it has to get the name of this function. So this is called index. So this will redirect the user to this page. And so because this should be a route that is never be shown, so this only has the purpose to add the new item and then redirect to this URL. But still we have to define it as a route. So we have to say, or decorate it by saying app.route, and then here we give it the URL, and this is /add, and then we also say methods equals and this is an array, and here we simply say post. So this should be a post method. So now if we go back to our base HTML, in our form, the action here should be the same route that we just defined. So here we say /add. So this is the action that happens. So this will execute this code here. So now the adding should already work. So now if we go back, and now if we hit a to-do, so let's say to-do 3, and now if we click add, then this should add a new item and then redirect or refresh the home page. So we have an error here. So let's have a look. Oh, sorry, of course the Flask app is not running. So we say python app.py. So now we don't get an error. This looks good. So now go back to our home page, and now let's try it again. So to do 3 and click on add. then we get an error here. So, oh, I think we also have to specify here that the method should be a post method. So now if we go back and then enter a new to-do 3 and let's try again. So, oh, I'm having a typo here. Let's check, where is it? I think during the add, or in the add method, add complete. So now, one more time. Let's go back to our index page. Let's add a new to-do and click on add, and now it worked. So now we see, or we know how we can add things. So now we still have to update and delete our things. So now this should be fairly easy. So now we know how we do this. So we define a new function like, oh, let's copy this. Or no, let's better copy this. Sorry. Let's copy and paste this. And here let's call this, this should be a @/update. And then of course we also have to know which to-do item we want to update. So we use another slash, and then we can use this syntax. This is an integer and then a colon, and then we call this to-do ID, and we don't need this. And then let's call this update, and then inside this function we want to query our database for this ID and then modify the complete variable. So let's do this. So here, instead of adding this, what we want to do is we want to query our database. So we say our to-do that we want to update equals to-do.query, and now we don't query all, so but instead we can use query.filter_by, and then here we say ID equals to-do ID, and then this should only return 1, so we say first. So this is our to-do. So now for our to-do item, we want to set the to-do.complete equals to the opposite. So we say not to-do.complete. And then we commit this again and redirect to the home page. So this is all we need here. And now as a last thing, we need this syntax to delete our item. So here we specify the route delete and then our ID, and we call this delete. And here we do the same thing. We query the database to get this item, and then we say db.session.delete our to-do. Then we commit this and redirect to the home page. So now we have these two routes, and now the only thing left to do is to go to this route when we click on the update or the delete button. So here we say we go to update, and then we go to slash, and here, as I said, we want to give it the ID. So again, we use the templating syntax like here. So double curly braces and then the to-do ID, and the same thing for the delete button, but instead here we are going to delete / our to-do ID. So this should work now. So let's refresh our page again, and then we get an error here. So now I just had to restart the server. So now if we click on update, and then we get an error, update got an unexpected keyword argument to do ID, and this is because of course I also have to add this as a parameter, so also to do ID, so the same thing is the same name as we're using here and here. And also our delete function has to get this parameter. So now it should be fine. So now if we go to our home page again, now if we click on update, then this should change to completed. So this is working. Click update again. Let's check this. So this is working. Let's click on delete. So this is working. Delete again. Let's add another one to do 4, and it's adding this. So this is working. So now we have all the functionality we need. And now the last thing we can do is to style our app a little bit. So for this, in this example, I want to use Semantic UI. So this is really nice framework to rapidly add nice styling to our app. So for this, we only have to change things in our HTML file and don't have to worry about the CSS. So in order to add the Semantic UI, we go to the official homepage and get started. And then we can go to the CDN recipes and we want to add this. So let me search this. So CDN, so there it is. So we have to grab these two things. So we want to add a link to the style sheet and also the script. So we add this to our base HTML in our head up here. Let's copy and paste this. Now what we can do is we only have to add classes to our different tags. For example, so for this you have to check out the official documentation. So there you can see, for example, we have a header, we have a input. So for example, this is what we're using. And yeah, so check that out for yourself. So for now, I'm just showing you how this is done. So it's pretty straightforward. So for example, for each to-do item here in our for loop, we want to add a div. And so let's grab the closing tag and put it down here. And then we give it a class. And now we have to use the classes from the Semantic UI CSS. For example, here we say this is UI segment. So this is a segment. And then our P tag gets the class equals. And here we say, for example, this is a UI big header. Then here in our H tag, for example, we say this should be a button. So here we say this is class UI and then blue button. So this is a really nice syntax. So just like we would call it anyway. So here class equals this, and then for our delete button we use a UI red button. So now if we refresh this, let me quickly check if this is working already. So yeah, so our Semantic UI CSS gets applied and it's looking a little bit more nice now. So now let's continue with some styling. So now for the span we also use a class. So here we say class equals. So if it's not completed, we say this is a gray label. And if it is completed, then we say it is a UI green label. So now let's go back and let's refresh this. So this is working. If we click update, then we have a green label. And now let's also style these two things. So here we say our header equals of class UI, and then we say a center aligned header. Then for our form, we can also simply say class equals, and here we say UI form. This will already make it much nicer. So now if we reload this, then our header is centered, and here we have a form. So now let's add some margin to our header. So here I add a style for myself because I couldn't figure it out how we can do this with Semantic UI. So here we say style equals and then margin top, and let's use 50 pixels for example. This should work. So if we go back and reload, then we see we have a margin here. Then for our form here, we have to add the class equals fields. Then for our button, we also want to say class equals UI. Let's use a blue button. And now if we reload this, then it looks almost as our app that I showed you in the beginning. So one more thing that is missing is a container. So we add a div here, so a div tag, and then the closing tag should be at the very bottom. So here, and this should get the class equals UI container. And now I made a mistake, so I want to have the style for the container and not for our h1 tag. So here I put the style in here. So now save it and reload this, and now we are done. So this is our final app. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this and now know how you can use Flask to write your own web apps. And if you like this tutorial, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, and see you next time. Bye.